Good morning, everybody. Welcome to
morning.
Sunday Live, or what is the name of our show?
Echo Live.
Echo Live. We need our graphics department. Welcome to the Echo Facebook live stream for Echo Community Church, the Sunday, March 29th edition. Those of you that tuned in earlier are going to get a treat because we don't know for how long. But for right now, it is all four of the Knauers on Echo Live this morning. We've got, we'll introduce ourselves. My name is Phil, and I'm the pastor of Echo.
My name is Isaiah Knauer.
Your name is Isaiah Knauer.
And I'm Chase. And I'm Isaiah.
And you're Isaiah, and I'm Kendra.
And Isaiah, how old are you?
3 years old.
3 years old, that's right. So far, so good. We've got a fun morning planned for you. We've got some segments. We're going to do an hour family edition of Ask It. You send in questions this week.
8 years old.
Chase is 8 years old. You're right.
Don't let. That's right.
This is the guy who, like, for the last 5 minutes did not even want to sit by the camera. I'm going to slide this so we can see the best looking parts of our family. Here. There we go. This is the kid who, for the last 5 minutes, has been protesting being on the camera, and now that we go live, he is just ready to go. Are you ready to have some fun, Zaya?
Yay!
All right. So we're going to do Ask It in just a second, where I'm going to ask some questions you sent in to Kendra and the boys. We've got a new segment this week called Ultimate, where we are going to be voting on your favorite snack to keep on hand during the COVID pandemic. And at the very end, we're going to share a really short devotion with you from Philippians chapter 4, which talks about how to stay mentally healthy in stressful times like this. But we're going to start off with the segment from last week we like to call Roll Call. So we got the roll and the call.
Roll call.
This is our easy way to say good morning to each of you. And I realized last week, every time I touched the computer to scroll through the comments, the sound cut out. So I'm going to be following your comments on my iPad. Roll call. All we're asking you to do is all of our viewers go into the comments, tell us your name, who's watching with you, and new for this week, one fact about yourself that people might be surprised to know. So your name, who's watching with you, and something about yourself that people might be surprised to know. And while you're thinking of those answers, we'll play along. My name is Philip, middle name Andrew, last name Knauer, and one... Yeah, you're Isaiah Knauer. Right, you're going to get a turn in a second, which should be Isaiah Knauer. What's your name? What is your name? What's my name? Phil, that's right. And what's mommy's name? Kendra, that's right. So he's covered 3/4 of our answers already. One thing you might not know about me is I'm pretty good at sports video games. I don't know if that's something I should be proud of or not, but especially the NBA 2K series and MLB The Show, I'm pretty good at those games, and Chase and I play those.
Nerd out on them.
I nerd out on them. All right.
Why? Can't you always be equal?
No, sometimes I have to be better at you at something. All right, your turn. You want to go next, Chase?
My name is Chase, middle Andrew. My name is Chase, middle Andrew, last Knauer, and one thing that you might not know.
Keep going. One thing we might not know about you is
I don't like mashed potatoes, but I do like ham loaf.
He does not like mashed potatoes.
I don't know what happens. Parent fail.
Parent fail. Mashed potatoes, I think, are one of the greatest foods in the face of the earth. Not high on nutritional value, but good on taste. Chase doesn't like mashed potatoes, but his favorite food, has anybody heard of his favorite food? Say it again.
Ham loaf.
Ham loaf. Something that was that my mom made for us growing up. Instead of meatloaf, they used ground ham, and it's fantastic. I guess it's just unique to there's his hair underneath the raccoon hat in all its glory. So that's what he likes. Mom, you want to go next?
I'm Kendra, middle name Lee, L-E-A Lee. Yeah, you're. Okay.
And I say now.
I know. I really enjoy singing.
Mom does enjoy singing, yes.
Yeah.
Any other facts about you that people might not know? We do exist. She is my wife. I know most of you don't see her with me on Sundays, but she does exist. She's our kids director, and she does like to sing. Mom sings around the house all the time, right?
I know. So I'm just playing video games. Then Mom walks by singing up the stairs.
She does indeed. Isaiah, do you want to tell everybody what is your name?
I'm Isaiah.
And how old are you?
2 years old.
You're actually 3. We worked a year on 2 years old, so give us some time on that. What do you like? What do you like to eat? He likes ham loaf. He also
really likes. When I was at Grandma's house, Isaiah also really likes cut strawberries.
He likes strawberries as well. So that went swimmingly well. So I'm going to check in on my iPad. So I don't. Sorry, our graphics department just dropped the graphics.
That was the iPad.
I'm going to check. No. If that were the iPad, we would have cut immediately to me crying in the fetal position. I'm going to go into my iPad and try and follow along on your comments so that I don't touch the TV screen as best I can. Because whenever we touched that last week, people were commenting that the sound cut out. So I'm going to see if this works. So far, not so good. But I'm going to see if this works. Isaiah, are there any other foods do you like? Do you like Pringles? Yeah?
Hi, Maloys. I'm checking. Hi, Miss Linda.
Hi, Miss Linda.
Hi, Phyllis. Who else? Denise. Hi, Miss Denise.
Hi, Miss Denise.
Oh, I think I see Miss Marianne is there, too. Can you say hi, Miss Marianne?
Hi, Miss Marianne.
Yeah, there she is. Hi, Miss Mary. And Miss Mandy. And Hadassah. Good morning, everyone.
All right, here we go. All right, finally got caught up here. Wow, lots of people watching in Phyllis's house, in Lauren's house. Miss Lauren says, our nursery director says, her heart is on the opposite side of her body. All of her organs are reversed. I don't think I can top that. I thought me playing video games was like something. Lauren,
game over.
So far you win.
You win, Lauren.
Someday I need to have a better understanding of what that says too. Hadassah says, Kendra, you can sing too. You are amazing. Heart. Rajiv loves Suba's cooking, though she is a vegetarian. Okay. Wow. Ray Smith road cycles over 1,000 miles a year. That is officially 1,000 miles more than I road cycle.
Very impressive.
Todd Malloy used to be a professional laser tag player. I didn't even know there was such a thing.
That's a pretty cool
Todd,
job.
you must. I want to see somewhere on your timeline today. I want to see some photos of you. Did you have like a laser tag trading card and stuff like that? She misses being with the church family. Bob and Alicia Barlow are both scuba divers. That is fantastic.
How fun.
We never go to scuba diving.
And Grace is saying hi, little Grace. Your friend Grace is saying hi to you. Can you say hi to Grace?
Hi, Grace.
Yeah, Grace is saying hi to you today.
Yeah.
So again, we'll move on to the next couple segments here. We're going to move on to Ask It. I'm going to ask some questions to the Knauer family that you sent in this week, and I just unfortunately logged off the iPad, so I'll get back on there here in just a second so I can follow along with your comments. But we're going to start off. I'll ask these questions. We'll start with Mom and then go to Chase, and we'll see how Isaiah does. First question you asked is, what is your favorite Disney character? Mom, what is your answer?
Okay, so that's a hard one because I love almost all things Disney, but I would say my favorite. And then you have to say, does it include Marvel?
Yes, the whole Disney universe.
But that's a lot. So I'm just going to go with Disney. Old school Disney favorite is Belle. And I also like way back Pollyanna.
Belle and Pollyanna. Chase, what about you? Favorite Disney character?
Scar.
Scar? The villain from The Lion King? How'd you come up with him?
Don't know.
Of all the characters in the whole Disney universe.
That's one of the two movies that I know.
Okay. All right.
From regular Disney.
Okay. For me, I would have to go with Mater, I think, for the new school from the Cars series because he's hilarious and so am I. And did you just shake your head no when I said I was hilarious?
You want to do it? You want to show your character?
And here's Isaiah's favorite character. Who's your favorite?
That?
Who's this guy?
No.
Sven.
Okay. You want to ride? Oh.
You want to ride on Sven? Okay, well that Sven has been ridden on several times. Yeah, just leave it down there for a second. He's having trouble holding on to his graphics this morning. Let's quickly move on to the next question. Do you prefer sweet or salty snacks, Mom?
Both.
You have to pick one.
Sweet.
Okay. Chase?
Sweet.
Yeah, I'm going to go sweet.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Obviously sweet. All right. What is your favorite song? The original question is, what is your favorite worship song? So we'll give Mom a second to come up with that. Chase had a chance to think through this last night. Chase, I know the answer to this already because we listen to it every Sunday on our way to church. What is your favorite worship song?
The cross has the final word.
The cross has the final word. In Isaiah, because he rides in the car with Chase and I, he sings that song too. Do you know the cross has the final word?
He knows the bridge and the chorus.
The bridge and the chorus. He knows those songs. Right now, that's been probably my favorite worship song too. Plus, almost anything off of the Sunday Service Collective album that just came out is really good. Jesus is King and Jesus is Born. Both of them are really good, and I like all the songs on there. Probably Rain, my favorite one right now on the newest album. Mommy?
My favorite kids worship song has to be Fruit of the Spirit, of course. And my favorite worship song right now is Goodness of God, Jen Johnson and Bethel Worship.
All right.
Can I get the papers?
You can get the papers. As you get the papers, we did not drop the papers in our walkthrough last night, so work with us this morning. What is a book you are currently reading? I'm reading The Apostle Paul by Mr. N.T. Wright. Mommy, what's a book you're currently reading?
I just started Lady Clementine. It's the biography of Winston Churchill's wife.
Isaiah, are you reading any books right now?
No.
He is not reading any books. We are reading books.
I am reading
Okay.
Reading books, yeah.
And Chase, what about you? What book are you currently reading?
Sled Dog School.
Sled Dog School. What's that about?
It's about a 13-year-old boy named Matt trying to make a sled dog school because he has to do this business thing for his math assignment to get the correct amount of money that it says. I forget that amount, but all the money together has to equal that amount of money.
It's a very detailed description.
Good job, Baltimore County Public Schools, on teaching him how to summarize.
There you go. I obviously have not taken that course because whatever the opposite of summarize is my issue. What is your dad's favorite movie? This was one for Chase. What is your dad's favorite movie to watch with you and your brother?
Monsters University.
Monsters University, and that's because we got Disney Plus. Kendra got us our family Disney Plus for Christmas, and Isaiah often asks to watch a movie on the big TV, which means to stream it through our TV in the living room. And what happens is usually when Chase and I finally get the energy to log into Disney Plus and get the movie streaming on the TV, about 5 minutes in, Chase and I are hooked to Monsters University, and he's gone. He's just
it's more like 2 minutes.
2 minutes and he's gone. So Chase and I have seen the beginning of Monsters University like 47 times. But that's kind of how that goes. This was another question for Chase. Does your dad ever drive over the speed limit?
Not on purpose.
He says not on purpose.
Really?
When the boys ride with me in the car, I'm always using the Waze app. I don't know if any of you have used it, but Waze projects the speed limit because our cars are old and don't have those displays in them. The Waze has the speed limit on there, and anytime you go over the speed limit, it turns red. And this one is like a watchdog in the back seat and will call out that I'm going over the speed limit if that happens. So generally, if I'm going down a hill or if I'm trying to pass somebody and there's somebody behind me at the same time, or if I'm just not paying attention, it clicks red. And as soon as it clicks red, he calls up. And so I don't intend to drive over the speed limit, but it does happen, and I'm trying to work on that. Unfortunately, this one has deep moral objections to me breaking the speed limit. So that's definitely, bless you. That's definitely helped me to slow down. So that is this week's episode of Ask It. There was one other question, which was for me, which we'll answer quickly. What is something you bought or sold recently that you are excited about? That must be somebody who knows that I like to go to auctions and buy and sell stuff kind of as a side job, extra way of income. Chase and I recently sold. Chase and I love to collect old toys, specifically pressed steel and die-cast vehicles like trucks. And our rule, you can't see it because the camera's facing us, but if the camera could face the other way, you would see a whole bunch of shelves with all kinds of trucks that we collect. And our rule is once the shelves are full, if we find another toy we want to add, something has to go so that we don't become hoarders. And so this last week we sold the Lewis
Mark's Powerhouse.
We sold a Mark's Powerhouse dump truck that we've had for a while, but we sold that so that we could clear out some space for a new Tonka tanker that we got, which is a pretty rare one.
Then right next to the computer, we have this battery.
Yeah, they can't see that, buddy. But one thing that I bought recently, Chase and I love to collect a certain manufacturer called Hubley, and they were based in Lancaster. And so about a year and a half ago, I bought this little dump truck, which I really like because it was a live action toy. It's a Hubley, and it has this little spring on it that flips up the back, and the paint's really nice. But Chase knows this. My favorite kind of Hubley is one in the original box. So I've had this one for a year and a half, but just like 2 months ago, I found this from someone in the Midwest. So now I have the original box with the original truck, and I can keep them all together. And the set is coming apart. So we're going to end the Ask It segment. Thank you, Isaiah. Can you say bye to all your friends?
Bye, all friends.
Bye, all friends. We're going to reconfigure the set here while you watch. Isaiah, you did great. 16 solid minutes.
Pretty good.
That's pretty good.
Well, I think Isaiah wants to be in here for the rest of it.
This is live, very live, unscripted.
No, don't go on it.
And we're going to try to get this reconfigured so that we can move on with our next segment. I don't know if Isaiah is going to be involved in this or not. We will find out. Here we go. Okay. All right. Next segment is called Ultimate. We are going to work with you. This is just something fun we're going to do over the next 2 weeks. Totally a fun experiment. We built you can't see this real well. It will be coming.
I don't want to watch on the phone, Mama.
He does not want to watch on the phone. Get him down now.
Get me down.
Happy Sunday. No.
I was gonna,
Stay here.
I was gonna
All right.
close
Okay.
the door.
That's it. We're good. All right. You okay? All right. Now it's just us. That was fun, and that was real, and that was a normal Sunday. So we are now going to play our version of Ultimate, which we are going to be asking you to help us vote in polls that we put up all throughout the week on what is your favorite must-have COVID snack. In our house, we've relaxed a little bit of our diet in order to allow some morale-boosting foods just on some days where we're just kind of feeling blah. There's a couple snacks that we keep around here that we know are just a hit and kind of pick us up out of that. So all week long, we asked you to send in your nominations for your favorite snack. And so we tallied all those nominations and created this little bracket. You're not going to be able to see too clearly, but we'll explain it to you. You'll get the idea. Here are your top 8 snacks. And each day this week, there will be a different poll where one of these snacks will face off against another one of those snacks. And then next Sunday, we will reveal the final 4 of the COVID Snack Challenge. So this week, we start off today. You can vote on the number 1 seed versus the number 8 seed. Number 1 seed is
Dark chocolate
versus the number 8 seed, which is
Cheez-Its.
Cheez-Its. So this, so today, dark chocolate versus Cheez-Its. Then tomorrow, you get to vote on the next matchup, which is
Reese's Peanut Butter Cups / eggs.
So Reese's Peanut Butter Cups or Reese's Peanut Butter Eggs. We do realize they're different, especially for aficionados like myself. But just to keep this simple, we're putting the Reese's products as one item versus
Oreo cookies.
Oreo cookies. Now, this is going to be a tough one. Which would you vote for?
Oreo cookies.
Chase would vote for Oreos. Of course, I'm going to vote for Reese's because it's my favorite snack.
And it's his must-have snack.
It's my must-have snack. Fun fact, where do I like to keep my Reese's?
Freezer.
In the freezer. Just a thing that I do. I like them frozen. That's just how I do it. So that will be Monday's matchup. On Tuesday, we'll be squaring off 2 of your favorite chips. It is
Doritos and Pringles.
Doritos versus Pringles is the Tuesday survey. Again, for those of you that are fans of chips, that's a big one. Chase did ask a clarifying question. Which flavor profile of Doritos? Any one, okay? We're just trying to keep it simple. Same with Pringles. Now, if you had to vote between Doritos and Pringles, where would your vote go? That's a tough one. Fun fact, we have
Doritos.
Doritos? We have both of these in our pantry right now, which is not normal for us, but again, pandemic, we just have a few pick-me-up snacks around. I don't know if I like Pringles better or their packaging. There's just something about all the neatly stacked Pringles, but the worst is when you open up the can and somehow like a third of them have already crumbled. That is the worst. And then the dumping of the can upside down to extract the remaining crumbs it's a mess. So I may have to go with Doritos as well. And then our last match up is a really interesting one. It is
almonds versus ice cream.
Almonds versus ice cream. Now, where would you go with this, Jace?
Does Italian ice count for ice cream?
Italian ice can count for ice cream.
Then ice cream.
Ice cream, even over smoked. Chase's favorite are smoked almonds. So
that one's hard to decide.
Italian ice over smoked.
Well, Rita's is Italian ice.
Rita's is Italian ice.
So I'm gonna go with ice cream.
But we've not been going to Rita's recently, although I did on a rare trip to the grocery store find some of the pre-packaged Italian ice that you like so far. We put it in the microwave to defrost it a little bit, and then it works out okay. So those will be the 4 matchups this week. Sunday, dark chocolate versus Cheez-Its. Monday, Reese's versus Oreos. Tuesday, Doritos versus Pringles. And Wednesday, almonds versus ice cream. The winners, the snack that wins out of those 4 matchups will be revealed on Echo Live next Sunday to get to our final 4. And then we will crown, by your votes, by popular vote, the COVID ultimate must-have snack. So it's just something fun we're doing. We'll put those polls out on Facebook and everywhere else that we can put them out there. We'll collect your votes. We'll tally them. We'll reveal them next Sunday. So that is our ultimate COVID must-have snack. Now, you know what, Chase? Let me pull our notes down here so you can actually read them. We do have a little devotion that we want to share with you today. It's a short one, but it's something that we've started to talk more about because the reality is, and you guys know this, it's stressful right now, and there's a lot of uncertainty and there's a lot of anxiety with the COVID thing. And if you're like me, you watch the news and you follow social media, and there's not a lot of good news right now. And something I've been really concerned about for my family and for yours as we've gone about this week is how do you stay mentally healthy? I've been really concerned about people getting depressed, getting anxious, getting panic attacks, not being able to sleep well. And the truth is we don't know exactly how long we're going to be in this type of a setting that we are. So Chase and I started digging into the Bible together a little bit to find some different places where the Bible gives us advice on how to stay mentally healthy in times that are stressful. And so there's lots of different things, but the one we landed on that we're going to use as our short devotion today is something that the Apostle Paul writes later on in his life after the book of Acts. He writes it in Philippians chapter 4. So we're going to read to you from Philippians chapter 4 today. Chase will read a couple verses. I'll read a couple verses. And then we worked on this together. We came up with some practical things that we can do to keep our minds and our bodies healthy during a time that's stressful and anxious. So sneezing into your elbow when you have seasonal allergies is a good thing to do. So Chase, do you want to read to us starting at verse 4 and read it nice and loud?
Always be full of joy in the Lord. I say it again. Rejoice. Let everyone see that you are considerate in all you do. Remember, the Lord is coming soon. Don't worry about anything. Instead, pray for everything. Tell God what you need and thank Him for all He has done. Then you will experience God's peace, which exceeds anything we can understand. His peace will guard your hearts and minds as you live in Christ Jesus.
And now, dear brothers and sisters, one final thing. Fix your thoughts on what is true and honorable and right and pure and lovely and admirable. Think about things that are excellent and worthy of praise. Keep putting into practice all you've learned and received from me, everything you heard from me and saw me doing, and then the God of peace will be with you. So there's a lot of really good stuff that Paul wrote in here, and the thing that jumps out to me, or really there's 2 things that jump out to me right away, and I want to say these right to you that are watching. Number 1, never forget, God loves to take care of you. He loves to take care of you. You are not an inconvenience to Him. He just loves to take care of His kids. And as a parent, I understand that sometimes taking care of your kids can be work and it can be a burden. But deep down in our hearts, you know, if you really love your children, you love being able to take care of them. How much more? God loves to take care of you. But there's another thing that Paul shows us is that God also teaches us how to take care of ourselves. Not that we don't need Him, we still need Him, but the Bible's filled with practical things where God teaches all of us practical things we can do to actually take care of ourselves, to cooperate with Him. And taking care of yourself, or what we might call self-care, is actually an act of love and caring about yourself, and that honors God and pleases God. And what we read about in this passage is that Paul helps us see our thinking is pretty powerful. Our thoughts have a lot to do with our moods and our emotions, right? Chase, the things we think about regularly, the thoughts are going through our mind shape how we feel. Have you ever had that experience?
Um,
Or things you're thinking about shape your mood? Like make you things you're thinking about make you happy or make you sad or make you stressed, right? Yeah, like last night he was having trouble sleeping and he was stressed about that, and what Paul says is that we can make choices about what we think, and those choices that we make help us stay mentally healthy. And so he gives us a lot of great advice in there. But Chase and I wrote down a couple practical things that we can do if you're feeling anxious or if you're feeling stressed or if you're feeling panicky. And there's a lot of that going on right now. It's understandable and it's normal. But the Bible tells us we can find peace even in the middle of all that. So first thing we wrote down was figure out what's causing you to be anxious or panicky and limit that. So limit the causes of your anxiety and panic. One specific thing, I heard a term this week called infodemic. So we have an epidemic right now, which is the COVID virus spreading all around the world. But now there's also an infodemic or information demic. And what that is when there is so much inescapable bad news going out on the media and on social media that we are just information overload, and it's not good. And you almost feel like you're drowning in the sea of bad news. And so one of the things that I would encourage you to do, I learned from talking to my friend John on the phone this week. He said something he's telling people to do is limit your news intake every day. Listen to 15 minutes of news in the morning, 15 minutes of news in the evening, and really limit yourself to that if it's at all possible. Now, the reality is most of us have to be connected to the news for practical reasons. We had to watch or listen to what Governor Hogan said this week about schools, and so we had to listen to the news to figure that out. And you're out of school until at least when?
April 24th.
April 24th. And so we learned that by the news, and we learned that Baltimore County Public Schools for kindergarten through second graders, you're going to have packets of papers that we can print out that we have to keep up with at home and continue. Their homeschool right now is called COVID Academy. Chase named it. So that's something that they're doing right now. But limit your news intake to 15 minutes in the morning, 15 minutes in the evening, and then go about your day. Number two, go about your day as normal as possible. If you watch a little news in the morning and a little news in the evening, you're going to get everything you need to hear and not be overly swamped by all the bad news. One of the things I found is in those hours throughout my day where I'm not watching the news and I'm focused on work and being a dad and being a husband, during that 10 or 12 hours in between watching the news, I actually start feeling pretty good about life again. And then when you turn the news on again, and it's, then you see all these, new cases being reported and people, experts saying how this is going to affect us for years and years to come. Then I start coming back down again. So the second part is go about your day as normally as possible after and before you've watched some news. And I realize normal has changed for most of us. Our family has actually created a schedule that we try and follow every day. We go to bed the same time. We get up the same time each day. Chase and the boys have a schedule that they follow for their meal times, for their academic times, for exercise, for chores, for doing things around the house. And so they're following that schedule throughout the day to keep some type of normal routine there. For most of us, it has definitely adjusted. But if you can keep yourself from getting sucked into just feeding yourself on bad news all day long, you're going to stop feeding the panic and get on with some other things that can keep your mental health moving forward. Third thing we wrote down is get some fresh air. And I realize this is different for all of us. And I also understand that if they start figuring out if this virus is moving through the air and not just through droplets, that might change. But for right now, we all have different levels of access to fresh air. You can do something simple like open up a window. If you have a balcony or a porch or a deck, you can go out and get some fresh air and sunshine. That's good for your serotonin levels. It's good for your heart. It's just good to be able to get some fresh air. Take a walk. If you can go to a park that's open where you can practice the social distancing stuff, that's healthy too. But just finding a way to kind of get out of your little cage for a while and get some fresh air is good to keep you mentally healthy. Fourth thing we wrote down is do something for someone else. Even as Paul's writing here, you can see that his mind He had his own issues, but he was constantly writing in his letters, I think of you all the time. I pray for you all the time. Doing something kind and compassionate for someone else is an awesome part for your mental health without unpacking all of that for you. And right now, you might not have all of the options available to you to do, but simple things you could do. Send a text message to a friend. Just check in on them. Share a joke with them. That's appropriate, right? Share a meme or something like that that'll get them laughing. A phone call, an email, write a letter, something like that. Do something positive that impacts somebody else. Those things are great for your mental health. We wrote down 2 more, and Chase said he wanted to cover those with us. So what's number 5?
Take time for yourself. And we're already doing that, so around like after dinner time, maybe a little after 5, my mom is allowed to take a drive around town.
We created something called Mom Time, and when we say mom is allowed, mom's allowed to do whatever mom needs to do, but I recognize that I'm working like most of the day, and I'm down here in the basement being a pastor and studying and teaching and having meetings and making messages and then figuring out how to make those messages into videos, and it can be pretty consuming. And so in the meantime, Kendra is spending the whole day, just being a mom to our boys and having 2 different schedules for an 8-year-old and a 3-year-old, and that's draining every bit as much and more maybe as me doing my work. And so what we do is after dinner time, we clean up the kitchen, and then mom has mom time. And lately what that's meant is she just gets out of the house, she gets in her car, and she just goes for a drive. Sometimes she'll go through a drive-through and just get an iced tea from Dunkin' Donuts and just sit in the parking lot and listen to music or read a book. And we hang out then. Me and Chase and Isaiah hang out for a while and get their baths and their pajamas on. And lately we've been building. We've been building Legos, right? Yeah, we've been building Legos these last couple nights. Taking time for yourself is okay. And you need to take some time for yourself where you're not working, where you're not watching news, where you're just trying to relax and let your body reset and spend that time just keeping your mind healthy. And the last thing we wrote down was...
Don't isolate your thoughts from God. I'm getting thirsty.
Okay, he says don't isolate your thoughts from God, and he's getting thirsty. Go get a drink and come right back. So we realize we're talking about social distancing a lot right now. But one of the things I'm concerned about is that you'll isolate yourself from more than just your friends, but that you may start isolating your thoughts from God. And I know it can be a real exercise in vulnerability to trust God with things that you would be embarrassed that he knows, like that you're panicking or that you're anxious, that you're worried about your job or your income, you're worried about getting sick, you're worried about people that you care. I mean, we found out 2 or 3 of our friends in Georgia are all showing symptoms, and they're getting tested. Nobody that we've had contact with in a couple years, but they're getting tested this week, and so our minds are anxious about those types of things. Paul goes overboard to say, don't be anxious, but instead pray about everything. Don't let your mind race with things that can feed panic. Instead, carry those things to God. And so Paul's solution is not to live in denial or not to pretend that you're not anxious or nervous. We don't have to fake it. He's saying instead, trust God with those things and carry them to him. Here's a newsflash. He knows what you think anyway. And I just don't want you to isolate your soul from God during a time where we're isolating our bodies from other people. And this can be a great opportunity for you to trust God with your anxieties, your fears, your feelings. Leave them in his hands, and you will be amazed at what happens. Think about what happens when you talk to another human being and you just kind of vent or you dump something you're embarrassed that you even feel, and they look you in the eyes and just say, you know what, I feel you, I get you, I understand, I get it. Even if they don't solve your problem, being understood and being heard is great medicine for your soul. God loves to do that for his kids. He is a listening ear. You're not inconveniencing him. You're not troubling him. He invites us to dump all those things out to him, and he'll hear you, and he'll understand you. And then there's this great exchange that happens that Paul talks about. When we dump those anxieties to God, what we get in return, we get peace. And he says it's a peace that guards our heart and our thoughts. It's an illogical peace. There's no reason anybody should have peace right now logically. We should all be anxious. But our world is looking for people who have their heads on straight, that aren't putting their heads in the sand. And you might have friends who say, how are you able to keep your sanity in the midst of all of this? And what a great opportunity for you and I to then share our faith and say, listen, we wrestle with the same things you do too, but we've learned to trust God. We've learned to be able to voice our feelings to him, and God just somehow is depositing peace in our heart. And I don't know what I'd do without a relationship with God in this time. So those are just a couple tips that we have from that verse about how we can help stay mentally healthy. We wrote 6 things down. Limit the causes of your anxiety. If it's news, just limit how much news you're watching every day. Number 2, find a daily routine and do it as normally as possible. Number 3, try and get some fresh air. Number 4, do something for someone else. Number 5, make sure to take time for yourself, and or make sure you're making it possible for someone else to take time for themselves. And number 6, don't isolate yourself from God. Maybe you're doing 3 or 4 of those things, but maybe one of those things jumps out for you. Our other challenge is to read Philippians chapter 4, verses 4 through 9 every day this week. I'm a memorizer, so I'm going to try and memorize all of it. That might be really intimidating, but maybe chop it down to just a sentence or something that you can memorize out of that verse. And when you feel panicked, or when you feel anxious, or when you get bad news, that's truly bad news, and you need to handle it somehow. I want the Holy Spirit to bring those thoughts to your mind, and it can be the medicine that you use in that situation. So Chase and I are going to pray for you right now, and I want you to know that every Sunday our prayer team is still. Oops, I'm sorry, buddy. Our prayer team still meets. They have Zoom meetings that they do before our services, and they're praying for this time. We've got technology in place that we'll be telling you about shortly to be able to have some church-wide. Almost like you're meeting with the prayer team. You know how we used to do on Sundays? We'd call you down, you could talk with the prayer team. We're trying to find a way to do that digitally, where if you would just like prayer, you can come into like an invitation online and be able to meet with the prayer team and just have them pray over you. But this morning, I'm going to pray over everybody in our church, and I specifically want to pray for your mental health, that you'll stay mentally strong, that God will give you peace in exchange for your anxiety, that you'll feel his presence especially around you today, and maybe even just by connecting with your church family or seeing some faces of my family today, it's going to remind you that we're going to make this through together. But if you have a specific prayer request, I know we have people from our prayer team that are watching and reviewing the comments, and all you have to do is put a prayer request in there, and somebody from our team is going to grab onto that and start praying for you. I want you to know your God's here for you, your church is here for you. So we're going to pray for you this morning. Heavenly Father, thank you so much for giving us a chance to get together as a church family, even if it's just for a few minutes over Facebook or YouTube, whether it's live or people watching it later. God, you're a real God in real time. And I pray specifically for peace for every single man, woman, boy, and girl that's part of our church family and part of this community. God, you understand that the times your kids are living in are very stressful and anxious for us. None of us have lived through anything like this before. And all of the things that we look to find security have been shaken, whether it's our normal routine, our job, our income, social activities, retail opportunities, even something as simple as being able to get in the car and drive where we want to go and do what we want to do. Those things have been shaken for us. But God, you're the one constant, and you've not been shaken. And you invite us to take our anxieties and tell you about them. And so today we do that. We share those things with you, and we trust that with you. And now, God, in exchange, even if you can't give us answers today, we'd love to have your peace. And so will you let us borrow your peace today and use it as if it were our very own? I pray over all of our people today, for those afraid of their jobs, their provision, their relationships, maybe their health or the health of family and loved ones. Lord, will you just speak to our anxieties today, not in a sense where we deny the facts or we pretend, we live in some artificial fairy tale, but where we can look the facts in the face and say, nonetheless, we still trust God, and nonetheless, we choose not to fear. We choose not to be anxious. God, may that transition in our hearts from fear to faith be something that opens up opportunities for us to share about you to people in our lives this week. In your mighty name we pray. Amen. We really love you, and I can't tell you how much we miss being with you physically, but this helps. I had an awesome meeting yesterday with about 30 of our leaders on Google Hangouts, and it was such a positive meeting. We were talking about, I was able to share with them really good news about the progress we're making on our building program, and just the enthusiasm was way above the roof. So we just took a break from talking pandemic stuff and just started planning for our launch events at when we're able to move into 5020 Campbell Boulevard, and when we're able to open up the doors to our community again. So that was something really fun for us. I'll just share a couple of news items with you real quick, and then we'll end our live stream today. As I just mentioned, there's a lot of good news that we've received over the last few days about the progress on our new ministry center. And hopefully next Sunday I can be much more detailed, but in short form, We expect our final approval any day from the Baltimore County government on our permits. We already submitted the first round of permits. They reviewed them and everything looked good except for they call them 5 points of concern. We've already responded to all of those, and we don't believe there's any other further hangups. And so any day now we're expecting their final approval on those things, which means we will be able to move forward to pulling permits, which is an awesome step in the process. Second thing is that we believe we've identified the right contractor out of the 3 who submitted their bids, and hopefully this week we'll be awarding and signing them up on their contract, and then we can reveal that identity to you as a church. The contractor would love to start demolition on April the 6th, which is really aggressive. We would love to start April 6th, but before that happens, we do need to have those permits in hand to make sure we pull them. So the next things on our list of things is to get the final approval, pull the permits, sign the contract with the contractor, and then they are free and clear to start demo and construction on 5020 Campbell Boulevard. So we are just pumped about that. Hopefully within the next 7 to 10 days, I'll be able to show you pictures of demolition beginning. So far, there's nothing that we've learned that would put any construction delays due to the COVID thing. They're able to, they're an essential business that can carry forward. So we're hoping and praying for a late June, early July move-in date. Lots of things that can happen that can push that back, but just something for you to be praying about. And next week, I'll talk to you a little bit more. We are going to need to do a 2-phase build out. So we're just separating into 2 phases to be able to stretch our finances. We're going to do everything that we absolutely have to do to move into the building and get it furnished and ready to do ministry there. For when we move in, that will be phase 1. And then there's a few furnishing items that we just don't quite have all the cash on hand to be able to do right now, and we want to operate within the money that we do have. But I will quantify that for you over the next few weeks, and then we're hoping to be able to finish that second phase of the build-out by the time the new school year begins, and we do a big launch event later on in the fall. So really, really, really good news, and we're pumped about that. It's almost like God says, I know there's a pandemic going on, but that's not going to affect my business. I'm going to keep moving forward. So thank you for your generosity. Also want to let you know that where we're at financially, somehow, some way, it's still possible we could actually make budget for the month of March because you've been faithful in your giving, and we have seen our giving drop off some, which is understandable. I know a lot of your jobs have been impacted and affected, and so we definitely get that. At the same time, we are within just a few $1,000s of making our March budget, which would be amazing. That means we don't have to touch our cash reserves this month. Good news is that our board has prepared us for an emergency, and we do have cash reserves in place that are separate from the Vision Fund that we can use to fill some gaps and keep the lights on and try and keep everybody employed and moving forward until we are able to meet together and get back to business as usual. If you would like to give today or give this week, you can give a couple different ways. You can mail a check or cash to our physical address, which is 9510 Bel Air Road, Nottingham, Maryland, 21236, and we'll put that in the comments again. So you can mail a check or cash in that fashion, or like many of you have done, you can give through our website, echochurchonline.com. You can click on that Give tab. And so we're taking this a month at a time. If I try and project 1, 2, 3, 4 months down the road and figuring out what's going to happen in the economy and to our giving, it's just inexact and difficult to predict. And I'm a budget geek to begin with, and so that's difficult for me. But I'm learning to trust God one day at a time, 1 week at a time, 1 month at a time. And it looks like we are well on the way to making March, to making everything we need to make in March. Of course, this next month we have to start paying rent on 5020 Campbell Boulevard, so our expenses do jump up significantly, but I trust God for that. Our church family has been faithful and consistent in your giving, and we trust that you're going to continue to be able to do that so that we can get the work done that God's given us to do. So I think that's everything that we have. Be watching for announcements this week about ways that you can vote on our COVID snack. Also, thank you for all the input you've given us. We've been weighing out the best way to do digital media and to do videos and teaching sessions. I realize that every church in America is bombarding you with church services and worship services and resources, and that's probably why what we've put together hasn't been viewed that much. And so we understand that. The last thing we want to do is spend 40 or 50 hours of our week making teaching videos that aren't effective or that you're not using them. So we're still trying to figure this out. At least we've stumbled upon something it looks like with Echo Live on Sunday that you are checking in, that there is some devotional content, but it's an opportunity for us to see faces and to connect. I will be starting shortening up my teaching even more. I'm going to be focusing on, because we've got Easter coming up, and we will have some ideas to share with you about some creative ways. We'll be celebrating Easter together as a family this year, leading some communion services over the internet that you can participate along with at home. So when you get to the grocery store, get some juice or bread or something to be able to participate, because we're going to be doing candlelight communion together. We'll be rolling those things out this week. But so far, you've told us that there's lots of different, there's Facebook Live, there's YouTube, there is WebEx, there is Zoom, there are Google Hangouts, there's all kinds of different tools out there. For right now, it seems like the majority of us, based on your poll results, would like us to continue using Facebook Live. So we'll do that for now. But we'll keep trying to find new ways to connect with one another. Just be patient with us. Like I told someone else, it's like taking everything I've done for 20 plus years as a pastor, throwing it out the window, and now trying to learn how to pastor and lead a church. I can't ever see. I can't be with you physically. I can't teach live. I have to talk to a screen, which is definitely not something I'm comfortable with, but we're all learning together. We're all adapting together. But please know the Knauer family loves you. We care about you. We miss you. We're here for you. We're going to make it. Stay healthy, stay strong. And if you need anything at all, please reach out to somebody at the church, reach out to a friend, reach out to us this week. And we'll be here for you through the entire duration of this until we can get back together. Bless you together again. Anything you want to say to the people, Chase, before we click off today? He says, I got nothing. I'm getting a little hungry. We talked a lot about food today. You getting hungry? Yeah, I think we're going to go upstairs and have some lunch. So we love you guys. Thanks for tuning in with us today. We're praying for you. Pray for us, and we'll see each other real soon. God bless you guys.